as ever. Here in Sepang, it is very hot. Lewis Hamilton will start on pole for the second race in a row. It's lights out, and away we go. It's a very good start from Nico Rosberg, and Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel trying to cover him off, but Rosberg looks to have got ahead. He has. Down the inside, Danny Ricciardo gets a really good line going into turn one. Has he now managed to get ahead of the Ferrari? He has.
That laid down a real marker, didn't it?
I have a flat rear tyre.
Nico's struggling with rear tyres. Make sure you look after them.
Oh boy, that was close. Has Daniel Ricciardo fought back enough just by a nose?
The Merc's getting closer though. If something goes on, I want to be a part of it.
Clouds forming away from the circuit.
It's so comfortable for Lewis out front, isn't it? What's the front left on?
This has absolutely wrecked Daniel Ricciardo's race.
Lewis, you are the fastest man on track.
Felipe, Valtteri's faster than you.
Lewis Hamilton takes the cheers from the crowd and his team and wins the Malaysia Grand Prix.
Yeah, as it was for Nico Rosberg a couple of weeks ago in Australia, it was an easy victory for Lewis Hamilton, 17.5 seconds ahead of his teammate. So it's a 1-2 for Mercedes, and Sebastian Vettel picking up the podium. Alonso qualified 4th and finished 4th. Nico Hülkenberg qualified 7th, but he made that two-stop work for him. A good result. We'll hear from the McLaren boys very, very shortly. Danny Kvyat in his second race, picking up points in both of those. Further down, retirements as we saw there for Ricardo, Gutierrez, Sutil, Verne, Bianchi, Maldonado and Perez. Just another reminder of the state of the drivers after 2. It's Nico 18 clear of his teammate, with Alonso a point further back. And in the constructors, Mercedes are 25 clear of McLaren. Right, we are live in the paddock now. We'll be live in the paddock until we go off air, trying to pick up as many interviews as we can. We've got Ted's notebook to come as well. He's just garnering all the information he needs at the moment. In the meantime, let's hear from Lewis Hamilton, the winner today. He's been speaking with Natalie.
Well, Lewis, congratulations. I mean, you must be absolutely ecstatic. Kept you calm, kept your concentration. Your first win here in 8 attempts, 9 attempts now.
Is that 9, is it?
No, 8.
It's 8.
It's 8.
Oh, it's 8.
Heat's got to me as well.
Yeah. I'm so grateful, really, really happy. I mean, the team have just done an incredible job. Really, what a fantastic weekend it's been. And just generally, the steps that we've taken just through from winter and end of last year and into this year, it's great to be able to have a 1-2 for the team and for Petronas is absolutely incredible. I've not had many. I think the last time I did was 2007, so here at least. And I'm just grateful to, I've kept chipping away. I finally got that, and it's my stepmom Linda's birthday on tomorrow. So whilst I wanted to dedicate this race to the families and the people that lost their lives on the flight 3 weeks ago, I also want to give it to her. Obviously, I'm not there and I won't be able to see her, so happy birthday.
That's lovely. That's really lovely. At one point, you were told that rain could come. I guess that was a message you didn't want to hear. Thankfully, it staved off.
To be honest, every time we've been racing here, every now and then you see a black cloud coming and they say it's going to rain. So previous years, I'd say, please don't rain, please don't rain. But this year I'm like, it's all good. I qualified first in the wet, so I'm happy either way. And I've got a good enough cushion that I feel confident that I'll be able to deal with whatever comes.
So is this the car for all seasons then?
Sorry?
Is this the car for all seasons? Can it cope in any climate?
I hope so, yeah. I mean, we're now in the most difficult of climates, and the car was fantastic. So just as I said, a great job from the guys. We've got to keep on pushing. We've got to keep on at it. After tonight, after the big high, we've got a couple of days to come back down from that high, get back down to ground level, and attack in the next race next week.
You're racking up the stats because this is your 100th point finish as well.
Really? Yeah. I don't want to hear that kind of stuff because it means I'm getting old. I've been here for a long time.
Well done.
He's not that old. He's still got a few years in him yet. Let's hear from Sebastian Vettel, finished in 3rd again with Natalie.
Congratulations on your first podium of the year. I know that there was a lot to contend with today, but your team principal has said that actually it's beyond his expectations that you've been on the podium this early into the season. Do you share that view?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, look where we've been 1.5 months ago, so it's very positive what we've done since then. You know, massive job from the team, massive job from Renault. Both are pushing flat out, so. But still a long way to go. We see that, you know, the others, especially these guys, are still quite a bit ahead, a little bit quicker than us, and always have, you know, enough in hand to respond. So, you know, it's up to us how quick we manage to come back, but for sure, you know, it's not easy when you start on the back foot. But at the moment, I think it looks like we're making bigger steps than them. Let's hope it continues like that.
So a big step forward, but give us some sort of insight as to how much there is to contend with, how much there is to manage in the car today and generally.
Well, a lot. I mean, obviously, it's not good news that we finished only with one car, similar to Australia. You know, reliability is still not there, but you know, as I said, you have to be realistic as well. 1.5 months ago, we were far away from, you know, doing 10 laps in a row. Today, we finished the race on probably one of the most critical races of the year in terms of temperature and stress to the car. So, you know, very happy on that front. But these guys have done a very, very good job, and they completely deserve to be where they are now. Congratulations to them. You know, they did a good job in the winter, as I said, and yeah, we are a strong team. I know that, and you can see that given the results and the pace we had in the first 2 Grand Prix. So, in my point of view, it's a question of time.
That's a good statement, though. Bigger step than them. That's what we've made.
Yeah, they need a bigger step still, and that's going to be a real challenge for them. You know, as you said before, they've got a good race car. Now they've got to improve on an engine.
Is it only a matter of time, though, Johnny Damon?
Difficult.
What do you think?
Yeah, it is. It is. I mean, he knows. I think he's massively relieved. I think he knows that it's close enough now that it's not. They're not unreachable. That there is they're within sight. It's a massive job, but then they've done it before.
Yeah, and if Australia tells us anything, remember we were, you know, stood behind for the F1 show there, and we see it time in, time out with Sebastian Vettel. He will work as hard as he can as well with the engineers and with the team to make sure that they, you know, he's giving his input so they can make those steps.
Yeah, I think he will work very hard. I don't agree with Damon that they're sort of close. They're not close enough by a long shot. It was still 20-odd seconds down the road for Lewis, so they've got a long, long way to go at the moment. But you're right, Seb will work very hard to try and claw it back. 7 Mercedes-powered engines inside the top 10. It was 6th for Jenson Button and 9th for Kevin Magnussen. Let's hear from both the McLaren drivers now.
Well, Jensen, the rain held off as you'd hoped, which is a great thing, and a bit of battle with the Williams going on behind you, which also helped, but actually it's a good day at the office for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think the half Ironman training really pays off in that sort of race. That was tough. It was hot out there. And when you're the whole time looking in your rearview mirrors, those two battling, it was tough, but enjoyable race, and you can't wish for any more than that. I think we got the best out of the package that we have at the moment, and I actually did not think we'd be finishing 6th here today after how the cars felt this week. So great job by the guys to get the pit stop spot on, and also the fuel usage obviously through the race. And yeah, big thanks to everyone working and at the MTC.
So we've seen a swing between the conditions in Melbourne and here, and that affecting the car. But how do you think things will change again for Bahrain? It's obviously going to be hot there, but a different type of heat. Will that make any difference?
I don't think the high speed here and the heat together really work for us. There's no getting away from the fact that we are still weak in high speed. You know, I think we do have strengths, and that's why we're able to keep these guys behind us. But high speed, we've got a lot of work to do. We know that, though, and this place was always going to be tough for us. Overheating the tyres in the dry, and in the wet, you struggle to get temperature. So, yeah, I think we got the best out of it today, and I'm happy with that. But we do need to improve, yeah, to get close to the front guys.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Kevin, well, both cars in the points, which is a bonus. Not where you'd want to be, though, I'm sure. Can you start by just telling us about your collision with Kimi?
Yeah. I mean, my mistake. I didn't try to do anything spectacular in the first corner, but just misjudged the situation, and yeah, it was unnecessary. I shouldn't have done that. But I guess you learn all the time, and you know, the positive thing is the car is good, and you know, we are not on the pace, but it's a good car, and I know we will improve it. So you know, I apologize to the team, but yeah, I'll learn from it.
You didn't expect the car to be good here, so that is a bonus to have both cars in the points. And as you say, learning all the time, so Bahrain must be another step forward, do you think?
Yeah, I'm sure it will be a step forward. I mean, we're not making steps backwards. We need to go forward, and we are doing that. It's improving. It might not look like that, but it is improving, and we are learning a lot. I'm sure everyone else, and you need to learn in a faster pace, but we're learning, and we'll get there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good on him. He says all the right things, doesn't he, old Kevin Magnussen, admitting his guilt there. Let's have another look at that at the Skypad, that incident with Kimi Räikkönen. Bruno standing by.
Yes, very honest of Kevin to admit that mistake. You can see here the incident that gave him a penalty there. That's Kevin chasing after Kimi Räikkönen here into turn 1. You see that Kevin is gaining a bit on Kimi there. What we're going to see as well is that Kimi makes a little mistake there. He runs a bit wide on the apex of turn 1. Kevin sees an opportunity here to go on the inside there to get the better run out of turn 2. Kimi doesn't give him much room, which makes them have contact there. What we're going to see right next is that Kimi's tire gets a flat spot very immediately, unfortunately for him, which ends up turning his race down. What we're going to see as well is that Kimi had a similar situation on the first lap here. He was around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Fernando Alonso is just in here. We're going to see that it's a very close call. Fernando squeezes him, gives him just enough space. We're going to see from the aerial point of view now. Kimi is just very close to Alonso. Now we're going to see how little the driver can see there. So very good on Kimi to miss the car of Alonso by the smallest of margins, which shows just how much experience can save you from having an incident on the race and from trouble later in the race.
Yeah, tricky section of the track, that, but yeah, Kimi Räikkönen will be disappointed with the way his race turned out. This is the photo outside the Mercedes garage at the moment, and it's all smiles, as you should imagine. Maximum points haul in what's effectively, because of their title sponsor, a home race of sorts for them. Aside, of course, from the German Grand Prix in Silverstone as well, if you consider where the teams and the engine are based. But yeah, very, very happy with their day's work. And Lewis Hamilton closing the gap on his teammate after a disappointing start in Australia. It is time for Ted and his notebook.
Hello, welcome to the Malaysian Race Notebook. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. I appear to have found myself in some sort of massive selfie with the Malay police. I hope the next few words they say to me are not "you're welcome," or rather, "you're under arrest." We finished? Terima kasih. Selamat datang. Terima kasih. Oh, thank you very much.
Hi, sir. Hi.
Oh, hello. Well, welcome, Selamat datang.
Selamat datang. Welcome in English.
Oh, yeah, welcome. Selamat datang. Yeah. No, good. Thank you very much.
How are you? How are you fine?
Oh, you want a conversation? Yes. No, I'm fine. How are you? Yeah.
So I want to say the congratulations to Kimi Räikkönen, right?
You like Kimi Räikkönen?
Yes, I like. Okay. Very nice from Malaysia.
I know he had a terrible day today. He had everything that could go wrong to him, pretty much.
Yes. So I think I'm the police. Have to say very busy, very more person here.
More people here?
More people here.
Okay. Could you give me a police escort to the airport this evening, do you think?
Like what?
Well, I've got a bit of a tight plane, and David Croft is very nervous about missing his flights, and he likes a police escort. So if you could.
Oh, I cannot comment at that one.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Listen, Officer Mohammed, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Apparently Crofty's been listening to that. And David, you do like a nice police escort, and it does tend to be pretty bad traffic around here.
The traffic's appalling here, Ted. You've got another 20 minutes of the notebook to find another policeman. Damon got one in 2012. We've had one at Sky before. Pressure's on with you, Kravitz.
We did, yeah, but Officer Mohammed there was unable to help us. Right, come on, enough of this nonsense.
Find his mate then, go! Let's
get on with it. Caterham, a very good day for them, and because they found, as you can see, some Andy and here, some they don't look happy, but they should be, because they've moved up a place in the championship. But such are the margins that we find between Caterham and Marussia that it was only 1/10 of a second. And if you just come back here, Andy, I'll show you what that means. So it can come down to these fine margins. Look at that, 1:40.37.5. And then Max Chilton, 1:40.37.6, and that's the total elapsed race time. So today, Marussia lost 10th place in the championship because of a tenth, down to a tenth of a second, and down to these fine margins will be for the rest of the season. Marussia feel they were hard done by for reasons I'll tell you about in a second. I just want to show you about these noses. You might have seen that actually this is the bit that absorbs the impact. This might look like it's structural, completely hollow. So that is just a vanity panel. Mechanic annoyed with me for doing that, I'm sorry. So just to explain to you why that is there, it's just for aerodynamic, completely hollow vanity panel covering what would be the step in the nose. So Marussia very annoyed today because they feel that they were penalised unfairly, that Jules Bianchi was penalised unfairly. Their version of events is that Jean-Eric Vergne ran into the back of Jules Bianchi, and not for the first time, and that meant Jules Bianchi then went wide and then went into Maldonado, and it was Bianchi who was penalised for the incident with Maldonado. So they feel very hard done by. They've lost that 10th place in the championship because of something they feel was unjust, and Max Chilton finished 15th behind Kobayashi and Ericsson. But big shout out for Kobayashi. What a great drive from him, just behind Kimi Räikkönen. You can see a happy-ish Williams garage, and I'm sorry if I was direct with Claire Williams, but we do need to put the questions to them. Pat Symonds wasn't here this weekend, and I just wonder, the Chief Technical Officer, whether he might have had a different idea, whether he might have thought emotionally about rather than inflicting that emotional hurt onto Felipe Massa, trying to get him to move over. I mean, their argument was that they were racing Jenson Button, and indeed they only finished, Massa only finished 2 seconds, just under 2 seconds. In fact, it was only 1.3 seconds behind Jenson Button. So yes, okay, Valtteri Bottas might well have been able to get up close to Jenson Button, but that doesn't mean he would have been able to overtake the McLaren. Even though Jenson Button didn't have the pace today. And so for that benefit, having the drawback of really, kicking Felipe Massa with a Valtteri is faster with you, I think in many people's eyes was misguided. And so I don't know whether Pat Symonds would have thought something different, but it was, so many people were talking to Massa. Pete Vale on the pit wall, the team manager, and then the chief engineer as well was saying that. I'm sure Rob Smedley, maybe they were getting it in before Rob Smedley arrives at the next race in Bahrain. I'm sure he wouldn't have said that to Felipe Massa. Anyway, enough of that. Danny Kvyat, well done to him. Once again, he finishes in the points. That's for 2 races in a row. So what a star we have. And Jean-Eric Vergne retiring, of course, we saw early on with a damaged car. Horrible, horrible day for Sauber. Once again, they were slow. They had problems all weekend. You can see the car under the covers here. Gutierrez's problem was that he made a pit stop and then the gearbox failed. He couldn't select first gear and get going at all. And Adrian Sutil just lost power. So it was a power unit problem for Sutil. And that really is a sad sight, isn't it, when you've got 2 cars out here under a am I clear of this forklift, Andy? I am. Under a dust sheet. So that was the problem with them. Great job by Nico Hülkenberg with a great strategy for 5th place. And we haven't heard anything about the heavy drivers anymore, have we? That's all gone very quiet. And people were giving heavy drivers as a reason not to employ Nico Hülkenberg last year. Now he's putting in the results and racking up the points for Force India. No one's saying anything about that. So no, Nico Hülkenberg, really making up for anything he loses in terms of weight penalty on the cars by being absolutely fantastic in terms of his skill in driving. Another bad race for Sergio Checo Perez. Poor him, didn't get out with gear selection and pretty much everything else problems for them. Let's move on to McLaren, who say that they had no pace really, or a lack of pace all weekend. No real problems for it, no real explanations for it. They were okay on fuel consumption, it wasn't that. Of course, Kevin Magnussen had his problems. That's why he was further down. If he wasn't, they felt he would have finished just in front of Jenson Button. It would have been challenging Nico Hülkenberg for 5th place. But that was still outside any further development that they could do. They just need more development. They've come in with a new front wing and a new nose, but they know they need more than that. Pit stops were okay. Everything else was okay. It just seems that, they have the benefit of the Mercedes engine, but just not quite the car. But their rate of development, they tell me, is pretty high. So they're going to be getting better and better. And that's the Same story for Lotus. We have a look at the boys in the garage, Andy. They say their rate of development is absolutely almost vertical on as far as a learning curve goes. Maldonado, it was the turbo plumbing in the end that was leaking, and the turbo was going to fail. And they decided to retire him before the turbo failed completely. Maldonado's already had so many things in terms of control, electronics and batteries go bang, and he's only got 5 of each of them, so he's headed surely for some grid penalties in terms of using up his allowance of 5 of those power unit elements per season. And in the end, Grosjean finished 11th, the worst position really, because it's none of the points, with a strange problem, which was a failing diffuser in some way, and they're just going to try and analyse the data because they don't really understand it. After lap 48, the diffuser lost some performance. They think maybe a bit of it fell off, and it lost 20 points of downforce at the rear for Romain Grosjean. So really, he was easy meat from them. But this is key. They were already running derated in the battle with the Caterham. You would have seen him fighting Kamui Kobayashi. Or was it Marcus Ericsson? I forget. But anyway, but the Lotus was already having to run derated in terms of revs, energy recovery, and everything else to actually make it through the race. But that is their first race distance. So if you can take any kind of small little micro crumb of comfort for the boys at Lotus, it is that at least they have a race distance under their belt. Let's talk about Ferrari. Again, no particular problems. They just feel that's where they are. They're fourth, and they'll be outperforming themselves if they manage to get on the podium. So a great performance by Fernando Alonso to extract everything Ferrari feel they have out of the car. They felt if Kimi Raikkonen hadn't had the problems that we discussed with Officer Mohammed a little earlier, then he would have been right up there with Fernando Alonso. An unlucky day for Kimi Raikkonen, having looked so good earlier in the weekend. So seemingly not his day today. Let's move on to Mercedes. You pretty much heard a lot about them. Interesting, something Lewis Hamilton said about what he says. Apparently on the back of his helmet, it says something like rise above it, or rising, something like that. And he said it's just something that he's had with his little family shot, isn't that? The Wolves, at home with the Wolves. Oh, she gets that. Does she get to keep that? No, she's about to run off with it to Williams. Might be a consolation. But it's something that he's had with his dad, and it's a phrase that they've had, and he's always used. You know, rise above it. Whatever your problems are, rise above it. And that's what he was talking about. Lewis Hamilton was talking about in the championship. But a great update to his championship, to Lewis Hamilton's championship, 25 points in the bag. But then again, you've got Nico Rosberg finishing second. He knows, of course, it's a long championship. When you can't win, you pick up the 18 for second. I do believe that's the first Mercedes as a works team 1-2 since 1955. Forgive me if you've already said that, but I did think that was amazing. I thought they'd have more than that. And finally, let's talk about Red Bull. We can see that clearly Daniel Ricciardo had more problems than we knew about, not only with the fuel sensors, but also the reason he changed to the hard tyres in the middle of the race was because he had a puncture on that. And in the end, there wasn't actually anything wrong with the car. They just decided that because he was so far down and out of the points, they would just save everything and actually managed to get the car nicely to Bahrain without stressing anything. But Ricciardo really starting to settle in well with this team and actually show that he's, although has inherited some of Mark Webber's bad luck with a second Red Bull Racing car, at least he has all the speed of the Australian as well. But yeah, a good job from Sebastian Vettel, as you've already heard plenty from him. Best that he could do today, really, to be best of the rest behind the Mercedes, and crucially ahead of the Ferrari. And that's Ferrari's next target. They think that when we go to the heavy fuel consumption circuit of Bahrain, Ferrari think they'll be ahead of Red Bull, which is interesting. They think they now have the edge on Red Bull in fuel consumption, and that you might have a Ferrari ahead of a Red Bull in Bahrain. But right, that's it for now. They're not playing the Spice Girls on the radio here as they were earlier in the day. They're playing some sort of hard garage house. So with that, I'll hand you back to Simon. I'll see you in Malaysia in a few days' time.
And I'll try and keep a straight face. Right, let's hear from Nico Hulkenberg a little earlier. He spoke with Natalie.
You must be pretty pleased with that performance. A strong race from you, and some great battles there with Kimi. I'm not Kimi, Fernando. I knew it was a Ferrari.
Yeah, no, very happy. Fifth place is great for us. Great job by the team. The only team
in the front there to manage a two-stop, I think, if I'm right. So from that point of view, you know, we proved that we have good time management. Pace-wise, I think we look quite okay on the medium. Not quite as comfortable on the hard tie, but still, you know, a lot of positives again to take from this weekend. Good couple of points again, so we can build on that.
So looking forward to Bahrain, think you can be strong there as well?
Yeah, who knows? I mean, Bahrain is a bit different. Not as many, you know, long sweeping corners, more short and crispy corners. A lot of traction, which is kind of hard for the rear tires. But luckily, we're racing at night time, so that will make it a bit easier. But I hope we're in a similar condition, and target again is, of course, to get some points. Yeah.
Well done. Thank you.
Yeah, the Indian beers are flowing inside Force India after that terrific performance, as we always get from Nico Hülkenberg. But the day has belonged to Mercedes' overall 23rd win of Lewis Hamilton's career.
Keep on running. Keep on hiding. Focus. One day I'm gonna be the one to make you understand. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be your man.
Lewis Hamilton, who takes the cheers from the crowd and his team and wins the Malaysia Grand Prix.
Make me feel so good.
Sky Sports F1 coverage, sponsored by Rolex.
Let's do the illogical. Like less fuel in for more miles out.
Download the app or visit William Hill on your mobile. William Hill, the home of betting.
All these hoes around here sitting on the ass shot. Then I pop it, then I shake it like an ass quiz. More than all these face.
That moment when energy flows and everything clicks. There's a word for it.
Don't make me throw it down.
Dreams might start small, but ambition can take them anywhere. HSBC's new ISAs could help you achieve yours.
People say, but don't you worry? And I go, well, no, it's just what they do. It's what they're trained to do. They're used to it, and so are you. But even after 27 years, you still want a call or a text. It's never, I love you, I'm okay, I'm safe. It's just, what's for dinner? Tough beggar.
77% of the emergency services use Vodafone. Vodafone, power to our emergency services, power to you.
The blue flag is flying in the last 8 again.
There's only one Mourinho. There's only one trophy he hasn't won with Chelsea. But there's only one Zlatan.
To Ibrahimovic! Devastating finish. Oh, stunning. Ibrahimovic can't miss.
PSG v Chelsea. The Champions League quarter-finals. Tuesday and Wednesday, live, only on Sky Sports.
Sky Sports F1 coverage, sponsored by Rolex.
There is a light that never goes out. It is the flicker of a genius, the spark of a great, the shadow of a legend. To inspire is the only true way to wander through the ages. To be immortal. Senna Week. 26th of April to the 2nd of May. Sky Sports F1.
Well, it's the 30th anniversary of his debut this week from the Brazilian Grand Prix. I'm sure all of you at home will have thought the resemblance is uncanny. It's great to have you with us all this year, Bruno, but I'm sure it's actually a pretty busy year for the Senna family as a whole.
Yeah, we're going to have, we've been having some celebrations already, and we had Carnival in Brazil, the biggest samba school that was champion last year, was champion this year with the team of Ayrton during the parade, which was, you know, another championship for Ayrton. And we've had a few new products being released, and there's a celebration from Google. You know, just so many things that are happening this year, and it's hard to put them on paper.
It's going to be a celebration of his life more than anything, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, I think Ayrton left so many good things for us and for everybody, each person differently, that we can only celebrate the good things that he left for us and not mourn the sad part, which is him not being with us. So that's how we take it, and that's how we expect people to take it.
Exactly. What a legacy he leaves. That's going to be fantastic. So that's to look forward to on this channel. But what a day as well for Mercedes. First 1-2 for a very, very long time.
Is once again acclaimed for the third time.
Awesome race, Lewis. Awesome race. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there we go. First 1-2 since Monza in 1955, as Paddy Lowe was explaining to us a short while ago. They look good, don't they, Martin?
What, in 50? I thought you were going to ask me if I was in the race.
No.
Thank you for that.
I'm sure that was way before your time.
But they did. They looked good in 55, and they looked very, very good today. We still don't know just how fast they can go if they have to, because Lewis's pace was incredible, and he just showed it every so often. But, you know, I think Rosberg would have pulled further away from the Red Bull if he could have. So, you know, we'll have to wait. It was okay.
Yeah, but it was scary as well at the same time. They keep pulling, not pulling the wool over our eyes, do they? But they keep playing it down. We know that they've got more to come.
Yeah, it looks like looking at the tire degradation that they had on especially on the second stint of Lewis, which was so long, they could just keep pushing it forward and forward and forward, and the pace was still there. So it means that they are still not showing everything they have.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the game, isn't it? It's all about still looking after tires. We haven't spoken about them much, but I think the way that the drivers are able to feel that and actually respond to it is enabling them to actually not have much degradation and just have pace.
And it's also, I was going to say, it's reliability as well. They have to store up reliability, so we're not going to see them going to their maximum in these early races.
I want to move it on to a few things that we're hearing in the paddock here, and it's to go back to the fuel flow rate that affected Daniel Ricciardo in his disqualification in Australia. I'm hearing that Kevin Eason is reporting in the Sunday Times, and Mark ourselves, he's having a word as well about the fuel flow rate, and he's saying now the negative, Mark Hughes is saying the negative comments that were made by Sebastian Vettel, where he said the sound this year is bleep, that could be used as leverage if we go forward to the appeal court hearing by the FIA.
I think it's been put out there as a we're not going to hurt each other, are we, kind of tone. I don't think they'll take it any further. I understand. I was just talking to Ted about it, actually. I don't think Jean Todt was too impressed about it. I mean, we want the drivers to speak their mind. We're always saying, you know, stop being so much PR, you speak your mind, but at the same time, you need to choose your words a little more carefully as well. But I honestly don't. I just sense, listening to Christian Horner in a press conference down there as well, that they're coming together a little bit, Red Bull and the FIA, to try to find a way out of this.
Well, you saw that today. I mean, they were saying there was a failure on a sensor on the fuel rail there, and you're working with the FIA to get a calculation so that they could actually not have the same situation that arose in Australia.
It's difficult to imagine how they could engineer it so that the fuel flow meter failed, but the fact of the matter, if it did fail, then that's another black mark, if you like, against the equipment. You know, I sincerely hope that, I mean, I think Sebastian Vettel's point was it was meant in jest. I don't think he went
You think
out
he
there.
was?
Well, I don't think it was. I think it was done as an insult against everything. I think he just, as Martin said, I think he was expressing his opinion. Unfortunately, he used rather fruity language, and we're all under the obligation, the drivers particularly, to not bring the sport into disrepute. And calling the regulations that have just come in a bleep could be interpreted as doing that.
Cynics say it might have been a deflection, Martin. I mean, you know.
What's very easy to see, the drivers with good cars love Formula One this year, and Vettel didn't love it at all after the first race.
Yeah, well, that's something that's never changed, is it? We've always criticised our
bad
teams.
losers, aren't we?
Bad losers, very good. I was going to use that one, you beat me to it. I think that was it, really. Bad losers.
Yeah, definitely. No one likes to lose, but you know, like the sports cars, they have 2 sensors in the cars by the FIA homologated, and also all sorts of solutions are possible here. So it's just a case of working together and trying to find the best one for everybody.
Okay, can we talk about Danny Kvyat as well, and just the way he's quietly gone about his business today, and 2 races in Formula One and 2 points finishes, Johnny. It's a great start for him.
It was, and there was some great little racing as well from the youngsters. And I think Danny Boy did another cracking job there, and I think he's going to be getting stronger mentally, because that's what this driving Larky is all about. You have a mental strength you can apply to the race car, and you'll just grow stronger and stronger.
I do feel a bit sorry for Martin's favourite driver, Nico Hülkenberg, because, I mean, he's the guy. I'd love to know exactly how much time he's carrying around with him. We can calculate that, can't we?
Yeah,
it's weight-wise,
2 or 3
tenths.
Yeah.
Yeah, but whatever he's been in, whether it's a Williams or whether it's a Force India, whether it's a Sauber, he's got it up the sharp end of the grid, of the races. He's led races, and yeah, he's carrying some kilos as well for good measure.
Yeah, but talent always shines through, doesn't it? And that's talent.
Yeah, I mean, of the rookies that you've seen so far, I mean, who do you think is best equipped for an extended life in Formula One?
I think the guy that I really want to see have an opportunity is Nico Hülkenberg. He's definitely been not in the right car so far to show what he can do. But, you know, this year we see obviously Kevin Magnussen doing a great job in the first 2 races, and the experience will make him better and better. And also Kvyat, he's been doing a great job there. Today he was always on the verge of the 10th place, fighting for that 10th place, and then he managed to get the point, so that's great news.
What about for you? I mean, I'm talking of the rookies, not the more experienced drivers as well, but is there one that particularly stands out for you at this early stage?
Well, he hasn't really shone yet, but I think Bottas. I think he did a cracking job against a much more experienced man, and I think he definitely is one of those for the future.
Kvyat, I think, is a guy to watch for the future, definitely, yeah.
Can I bring in Ted? I don't know if he's quite ready to have a word with us. Were you down there just having... Is this to do with fuel flow?
Ricardo.
Yeah.
Talking about kick a man when he's down, yeah, I can confirm that he has. We heard the story about the new rule about unsafe release, and he has now been given, or will be given very shortly, a 10-place grid penalty for Bahrain.
Yeah.
So, as if it wasn't bad enough for him to serve the drive-through penalty in the race, that was where we left it last year, wasn't it, the previous rule? But it's the first time it's been enforced. It's a new rule in the sporting regs for this year. It's in around Article 20 if you want to have a look at it online. And it's just to try and make, you know, the teams actually focus and not go so crazy on a 2.3 second pit stop, and actually make sure you got the wheels on before you send your guy out. Clearly that hasn't worked with Red Bull, although in Red Bull's case, the pins on the wheel weren't seated in the holes, so the guy thought he was doing up the nut, presumably pressed the button which illuminates the green pit stop light, and then didn't realise that it was still wobbly, or rather by the time he did, he'd already been given the green light to
Ted,
go.
they didn't even send the car out onto the racetrack, did they? They spotted their mistake and pulled it back in, so it seems really harsh.
It's very harsh. Indeed. There's something else as well, because some of the guys who pushed Ricciardo back weren't wearing helmets. And of course, there's another rule that says that all pit personnel must wear helmets in the pit lane at all times during the race. They're lucky not to get away with that one, even though the Ricciardo 10-place grid drop for Bahrain does seem massively harsh.
Obviously, we don't want to see what we saw last year in repeat of Mark Webber's tyre, wasn't it, that went careering down the pit lane. But rules are rules, and Martin Donnelly did point that out, that he thought that might be the case, Johnny. Yeah, where do you stand on it? I mean, it's double punishment, isn't it? It's
double punishment. I think one thing that it does serve to do is, if the team have done that, it was only Daniel today in the race. It made no difference really to his race result, but the team would have got away with it. So I think then it's a big punishment for the team in the next race. Unfortunately, the drivers in the car that will get the punishment at the same time. But it was the teams, I believe, that agreed to do it.
Yeah, I mean, poor old Daniel Ricciardo. Not the greatest start to his Red Bull career. He thought it was going so swimmingly. He was on that podium in Australia.
Yeah, I think he must be really gutted now, and he knows that he has another big challenge next time out in Bahrain. Another 10 cars in front of him, extra of whatever he qualifies. So, yeah, I feel sorry for him. He's been doing a great job. Today, another solid race from him, and then obviously trouble hit, and he didn't get the points he deserved.
Right, chaps, it's almost time for Ted's police escort, so we must hurry on. Him and Officer Mohammed are on their way. And this is the details for next weekend, where he will be joining us. The rest of us for the Bahrain Grand Prix F1 show. Let's get the standouts from Friday from 8 o'clock, qualifying on Saturday from 3, and the race show itself on the Sunday from 3 o'clock as well. Midweek report is back as well with Anna Woolhouse from 8:30, and following us, we've got a review of the 1971 season.
The man that took over the lead was Mario Andretti. To drive for Ferrari in Formula One fulfilled a boyhood dream, and to win the first race in which he drove for the Prancing Horse stable was the ultimate achievement. Although his passport may have been American and his residence in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, his heart was Italian.
Yeah, that's the latest in a new series of Brunswick films that we've got. We had the 1970 review yesterday. We've got the 1971 next. Goes all the way up to 1980, and what a great decade it was as well. So that follows here on Sky Sports F1. Well done, men. A great pleasure to have you all. We move from the wet heat to the dry heat of Bahrain. We'll see you in a week's time. But Lewis Hamilton, what a win for him. What a day for Mercedes.
We do expect rain in the session.
It's hot as hell here. I want to try and have fun.
I wouldn't mind some rain.
I'm very optimistic, yes.
I'm not sure holding umbrellas in lightning storms is a particularly good idea.
A new addition to the team.
This is a very technical, very difficult track for the drivers.
Thing is getting heavier.
There goes Marcus Ericsson.
This pole position's for the taking with Red Bull here.
Keep pushing, keep pushing.
It's Lewis Hamilton that takes pole.
I have a flat rear tire.
There is rain in the area. What should I do? Valtteri's faster than you. Do not hold him up.
Really grateful for the job, guys. Thank you so much.
Enjoy Sky Sports live on all screens, on the go, and the best bits on demand.